Hello, friends. Welcome to Mental Gym. It's a live quiz, and the idea behind this live quiz is that it's going to increase your critical thinking abilities. And we are live on all social media platforms. In fact, I've changed the time because this is a time when most people in the world can watch this and can interact with us. And it is not during daytime or nighttime, it is something in between. And the questions will basically depend on how you basically address. And the answer will also be given to you after 60 seconds. So the rule of the game is that read the question carefully uh, and also understand all parameters of the question and respond to them within 60 seconds. The 60-second time will be given to you to answer. And if you're able to successfully answer the question, then obviously your mind is working in a very critical situation and you are able to think very rapidly and very fast. So let us proceed to our program, our game, and this is about increasing the critical thinking ability in all kinds of people, whether you're young, old, working, non-working, whatever. If you are able to answer these questions, that means you know the answer, your common knowledge is extremely good, and you also have clear understanding of what is going around the world, where you see yourself fitting into the world. So let's move to the quiz, and let's look at the first question. The first question is uh, in the year 42nd before Christ, 42 BC, Roman Republic civil war, in which there was a decisive victory by Mark Antony and Octavian forces. So there was a civil war in 42 BC, and there was a clear victory by Mark Antony and Octavian armies, and the person who got defeated committed suicide after this civil war. Who was this person who got defeated? And the time starts now. Well, the time is up, and this question is about the Roman Civil War. Many people don't even know that there was a civil war back in the days, 42 BC, and there was a battle. Obviously, there was a vacuum created by demise of a very big king, and his name was Julius Caesar. And after the death of the Julius Caesar, there was a vacuum at the central power seat, and because people wanted to acquire that seat, there was a civil war. So let us now go to the answer. Let's find out what is the answer. It was Brutus. So Brutus committed suicide after losing to in the civil war. And obviously you know that Brutus was the main perpetrator, who was the right hand man of Julius Caesar, and he also played a major role in assassination of Julius Caesar. So when Julius Caesar saw Brutus also part of this conspiracy, he said, "You too, Brutus." And look what happened to the person who was a traitor. After this incident of Julius Caesar being assassinated, there was a battle for supremacy, for battle for becoming the king of the Roman Empire, and that basically started the civil war. And in the civil war, Brutus lost, and then he committed suicide because obviously he would have been tried for his crimes. Okay, let's move to the next question. The next question is, in the year 425, who was elevated to as a Roman emperor at the age of 6? In the year 425, he was just a 6-year-old child, and he was elevated to become the king of the Roman Empire. And the time starts now. Well, we know that the Roman Empire used to believe in democracy, and the king was not based on dynasties. And so it was very surprising that at the age of 6, somebody was elevated as the king. Obviously, a 6-year-old child doesn't know how to rule the kingdom, and that too, it requires a lot of effort and a lot of initiative to rule a large empire like the Roman Empire. So now let's look at the answer. And the answer is Valentinian the third. Obviously, Valentinian the third would have been a proxy to some some general who wanted to rule the Roman Empire by putting a face in front, and therefore this incident shows that the Roman Empire was crumbling because for last thousands of years they have survived in implementing democracy, and they never actually favored the some sort of dynastic rule. But things were changing, and because of these changes, the Roman Empire disappeared from the face of the earth. Of course, in Italy, but it continued for another 1000 years in present day Turkey. All right, let's move to the next question. In the year 1520, which Roman king was crowned as German Emperor Charles V? A Roman king was crowned as German Emperor in the year 1520, and his honorary name was given to him as Charles V. And the time starts now. So, friends, this is something surprising that in the year 1520, a German king was appointed from the Roman lineage. So, let's find the answer for this question. And the name, the Roman name or the Italian name is the King Carlos I, and he was actually coronated as the King of Germany as Charles V. So Charles V was his honorary name, and such surprising things happens in our history, very difficult to understand, what used to happen in the political arena back in the days. But then the politics remains the same as today. Humans remains the same as today, and surprising thing used to happen even in the during the historic times. Now let's move to the next question. In the year 1642, Battle of Edge Hill, which is now known as Warwickshire, which king beats English parliamentarian forces? So can you believe it? There was a battle happening between the Parliament of England and the King of England in 1642 in the Battle of Edge Hill, which king eventually beats the parliamentarian forces. The time starts now. Well, again, as I said, the history is very surprising. Sometimes we learn about certain incidents which it's very difficult to believe. For example, this one, that there was a battle, physical, actual battle happened between the forces of the King of England and the forces which were backing the parliamentarian. So let's go to the answer. Is Charles the First, very very popular king, a king very well revered in the British history, English history especially, and Charles the First have done many good things, including this one when he actually fought and defeated the forces which were the parliamentarian forces. Very surprising, because we thought that the parliament used to report to the king, but there was a battle that happened between the parliament as well as the king. Now let's move to the next question quickly. In the year 1694, American colonial forces led by Sir William Phipp fails to seize which part of current day Canada? So there was, before the America actually was created as USA, United States of America, they were under the British rule, and that time America was known as the colonial America. That means it was occupied or ruled by British, and there were several colonies under the British rule. So some of these people formed their army and then they invaded the current day Canada in the year 1694, led by Sir William Phipp. Which part of Canada did they invade in which they failed to capture that land? And the time starts now. So, Canada is a large country in terms of land mass, but in terms of population is not as big, and there are very few large cities in a place like Canada, but all the outskirts, even today in Canada, are very sparsely populated. And therefore, back in the days when there were colonial forces, they tried to win over a land into Canada, because that time there were no set boundaries, and the nations as we know them today were still forming. But they failed to capture that land. Let's go to the answer and find that out. It is basically Quebec, and Quebec is basically French-speaking area of Canada. Well, in Canada, there were two languages spoken. One is French and other is English. Quebec was a French speaking area because people who actually settled in Quebec were actually from France. And then this incident happened, but the forces failed to capture the land. If they had succeeded, Quebec would have been part of United States of America today. So this is an important incident. Now let's go to the next question quickly. In the year 1694, the siege started. There was a particular siege that started, and that will become the longest siege in history, lasting for 26 years. So this may be even longer than the siege of Troy back in the history. So 1694 recorded as the longest siege of a city. What was that siege? What was this incident? Which was this city? The time starts. Well, I understand this question was slightly difficult because not many hints were provided within the question. So now let's go and see what was the answer. The siege of Spanish held city of Quetta on the North African coast, and the siege was conducted by the Moroccan forces. So the city of Quetta, or city of which was part of the Spanish empire at that point in time, and the Moroccan forces invaded, and they obviously did not succeed in the first attack, and therefore they surrounded the city and they laid the siege of this city in Africa. And therefore this siege, this attack, lasted for 26 years, very very long time to even support this kind of ground offensive. And this is something which is surprising. 26 years, very very long time, longest siege in the recorded history. Now let's see who have attempted to answer this question. And there is a answer from Mahi Chaudhary. The answer is A. Well, A is not the right answer, Mahi. I'm sorry. This is not the right answer. But we will quickly move to the next question, and Mahi, answer the next question. And the whole idea is to basically improve the critical thinking ability. Let's go to the next question. In the year 1739, the War of Jenkins' Ear, very, very popular. If you're Englishman, you know what is the Jenkins' Ear. I will tell you the story, but let's hear the question. Was reluctantly declared on Spain by then Prime Minister. So I will tell you the history behind Jenkins' Ear, but the question is about who actually declared war on Spain, who was the Prime Minister of England that time, and that started the Jenkins' Ear War. The names is very funny. 1739. The time starts. Well, as the name sound, Jenkins Ear is obviously a name of some person who was a businessman, and the war between England and Spain actually started because of the severed ear of this businessman, who was actually severed by, uh, some Spanish garrison who wanted to basically buy some stuff from him, and then brawl erupted, and that ended into, his ear cartilage getting removed from his head. And then the Jenkins was very upset about it, and he actually he traveled all the way to England, and he presented the severed ear in front of the rulers, parliamentarians, and as well as the king of the day. And this actually aroused a lot of emotions among Englishmen. There were a lot of dialogues. I mean, there was a lot of dialogues tried to resolve, to give compensation, to collect the compensation from the Spanish government and give it to this gentleman because he was an Englishman. But then all of those things failed, and then the Jenkins war started. Before I continue on the story, let's go and find out the answer. Answer to the question was, who was the prime minister who ordered the invasion of Spain? Uh, the prime minister of the day was Robert Walpole. Robert Walpole. All right. So this war erupted. The English invades Spain. Obviously, there was no decisive victory, or there was nothing like that. But 60,000 people died in this battle. Huge naval battle pursued after this. Both Englishmen as well as Spanish people, soldiers, they actually fought with each other, and they died in this battle. So very surprising turn of events can be started by a small incident, and then finally, after many months of war, it was decided that let's settle the score, and then eventually what was being planned earlier had to happen. And this big war has been recorded as Jenkins Ears War. So somebody, like big naval powers like England and Spain, they went on war, putting their soldiers and making the soldiers fight and die in the battle for a matter of one guy's ear. All right, let's go to the next question quickly. In 1812, there was a failed coup against a French emperor. 1812, there was a failed coup against a French emperor. Who was this emperor? Time starts now. Well, 1812, this was an easy answer. If you know the world history, even a little bit, you should be able to guess it. So come on, people. This whole program is aimed to increase the critical thinking ability. Think fast, think quick, think right. Well, let's find out the answer to this very simple question. The answer is Napoleon Bonaparte, the ruler of France. Obviously, in 1812, Napoleon was the king of France, and therefore he should have been an answer. Basically, you don't actually, even if you make a calculative guess, you should be able to answer this simple question. 1812, a coup was organized to overthrow Napoleon, but it failed. Obviously, Napoleon was very sharp, a very solid military mind, and he would have guessed what was coming his way. Let's move to the next question. 1814, first modern plastic surgeries in the West performed on a soldier's nose in England using the ancient Indian techniques. Who was this doctor? I will tell you more about Indian techniques about plastic surgery, but this question is about, uh, the first English or the Western doctor performing a plastic surgery in the 1814. I would like to know the name of this doctor. Time starts now. Well, if you're in an Indian, you would know that the plastic surgeries were being performed way back 500 BC in India. There are a lot of techniques which are defined, including tools and apparatus. There were specialized doctors who used to perform plastic surgery to improve the fallen soldiers way back 500 before Christ. Um there were big books written in India, and when the Britishers came in India, they actually read those ancient scriptures, and they actually got these technique implemented in their own medical procedures. And therefore, uh, the West actually learned from India about many things, including plastic surgery. Now let's go to the answer and find out what is the answer. It is the doctor known as Joseph Carpe of English Army, who actually conducted the first successful plastic surgery on a nose of an English soldier. So the civilizations, when they meet, there is so much interaction between them. Just like when the English were here in India, they were ruling during the Raj era. They picked up so many things, and today we feel that okay, the plastic surgery came up because of so many efforts by the English physicians or doctors, but actually they picked up from ancient science which was being practiced in India. They saw these things with their own eyes. They went back to England and they performed those techniques. All right, let's move to the next question. In the year 1910, who was the first woman to fly? First woman to fly at a public event, because 1910 the flight itself was very new, but women are also very smart. So the first woman to fly at a public event in front of everybody in the year 1910, let me know the name of this lady. The time starts. Well, flying was a dangerous sport. Even today, it is dangerous, as considered dangerous. But then there are daredevils who wants to basically try their hands on these risky businesses. And when we say daredevil, it's not only men but women also. So let us go ahead and find the answer to this question. The first woman to fly publicly in front of a crowd is the Blanche Scott from Indiana. She was the first woman to fly in front of everyone, and definitely she was a big pioneer, and she actually would have been a good inspiration to a lot of women globally. So, heads off to Blanche Scott, uh, being the first woman flyer in the world today. Let's go to the next question quickly. In the year 1927, the town of Netanya in Israel was founded by who? So, in 1927, even before the Israel country was formed, there was a town created from scratch in the year 1927. Who actually laid the foundation for that town? And the time starts now. Well, this question is sort of related to the current geopolitical situation that we are seeing in the Middle East. There was so much bad blood between Palestine, Israel. They don't want to coexist. Probably Israel wants to coexist, but then other neighboring countries don't want Israel to exist. However, many people don't talk about that even before the Israel as a country was created, there was a town established by a person before the Israel was established. So let us go and find out the answer to this. And the name of the person is Nathan Strauss. And Nathan Strauss actually established a town even before the foundation of Israel as a country was built in that area. So, isn't it surprising that people today are fighting without understanding, a or head and tail of the history, not understanding the, what are the historic reasons why these countries were created. There is, more than 3,000 years of history of that land, and that is why Israel was created in that place. Or let's not divulge too much into current day politics. Let's stick ourselves to the mental gym. Let's move to the next question. In the year 1944, which was the largest naval battle of World War II? 1944, largest naval battle of World War II. Very simple answer actually, and time starts. When we talk about naval battles during the World War II, it is basically fought between the Japanese forces and the American forces. In European theater, there were hardly any naval battles. The battle which were happening either in the air or on the ground. The navy warfare mostly happened during Second World War between Japan and America. Let's find out what is the answer to this question. Largest naval battle of World War II. It is the Battle of Gulf of Leyte. It's a place in Philippines Island, and as you know, most of the war between Americans and Japanese actually happened outside Japan, and most fierce battle happened in the islands of Philippines because Japanese had come over into Philippines and had occupied, in fact, almost entire country, and they were actually then island by island they had to be removed from Philippines. So Gulf of Leyte was the biggest naval battle of World War II. Let's move to the next question quickly. In 1958, USSR lends money to Egypt. So imagine USSR giving money to Egypt to build which dam? 1958, USSR gave money to Egypt to build a dam. Very, very simple answer. If you know little bit geography, you should be able to answer this question. Time starts now. Well, in Egypt, there is a huge desert and there are few cities. Cairo is the biggest city. What is lacking in Egypt is the water. The water is brought in by Nile, and therefore Egyptian people are largely dependent on the water of Nile and the field around the banks of Nile. And obviously, the dam was created in 1958, which became a prominent structure in the world. Let's find the answer. It is the Aswan Dam. Once upon a time, this was the longest dam in the world, but subsequently, the record has been beaten by other dams, especially in China, which is now the largest dam on Yangtze River. So Aswan Dam had in that time had beaten many records. They were able to create a huge, a lake of water behind the dam, and that actually solved the problem of uncontrolled floods in the area and actually made life very easy and prosperous for the Egyptian people. And USSR actually funded the project. Okay, now let's move to the next question. In the year 1992, who was the first emperor of Japan? And he went to China and he stood on the Chinese land or Chinese soil for the first time. First emperor of Japan stood on Chinese soil in the year 1992. And the time starts now. Well, Japan and China, they have been fighting for last 2000 years. There are a lot of issues between them, historic issues. Even today, they are not able to see each other eye to eye. Well, that is true for many other neighbors, but this is interesting that in the year 1992, a Japanese prime minister or Japanese king decided to travel to China for the very first time in their history. So this is a big thing. So let's find the answer. The Akihito, Emperor Akihito was a first king to travel to China and stand on that land. So, certain times there are issues where humans have to take drastic actions, and kudos to Emperor to break all shackles of past history, travel to China and land there because he was the first one to do that. Let's go to the next question. In the year 1998, Britney Spears released her first debut single. What was the title of the song? Extremely easy, friends. 1998, Britney Spears' first song. Time starts. So, guys, do you like Britney Spears' song, especially the first few songs? I do. I love them. So, this should be an easy answer. The first debut single of Britney Spears. It should be at your fingertips. Let's find out the answer. Baby One More Time. Such a popular song. It actually was so popular. It broke a lot of records, Billboard records, and even today, you can watch that song, and it's a good number. Don't you think so? It was an easy question. Let's move to the next one. In the year 2001, Apple released which flagship device? And when we talk about flagship devices from Apple, that means these devices had the ability to change the world. A very easy answer for technical people. 2001, Apple company released a flagship device. Name this device. Time starts. Apple as a company has always, believed in a strategy where whenever they come out with a new gadget or a device from their arsenal, it actually changed their future decade. And therefore, this question is very important. In 2001, which was a flagship product which was released by Apple? Let's find out. It was iPod. Very simple question. You should have actually guessed it and replied. Well, iPod actually was so revolutionary, because before that you had to carry cassettes or at the most CDs. And iPod, because of iPod you can get rid of all the CDs and cassettes, and now your device is this small, which can fit into your pocket without creating too much trouble for your pocket in the jeans. Very small form factor and has huge battery life and could store hundreds and hundreds of songs, and you can replace them also. So iPod actually revolutionized the industry and became a catalyst for the launch of iPhone. All right, now let's move to the next question. In 2012, 23rd James Bond movie, directed by Sam Mendes, starring Daniel Craig, premieres in London. What was the name of this very, very popular movie? If you are a James Bond fan, you should be able to answer this question. The time starts now. Well, James Bond is a very special character. Although now the James Bond movies are not so interesting, because when James Bond started his business or his activities, there was a Cold War. So in 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, the subject were very close to the people on both sides of the wall, and therefore the James Bond was the perfect character. But now the wall is broken. There is nothing called Cold War happening between East and West. Therefore, the James Bond character is sort of losing its shine. But then, nevertheless, this movie changed everything, and it is one of the most popular movie of James Bond in the recent times. Let's find this answer. It is Skyfall. The Skyfall number is also very popular. The movie was amazing. Daniel Craig played a very important role. There was a lot of past shown in this movie, that what made the James Bond, what was his background, his childhood, which actually sort of left impression on his youth, and that is why James Bond is such a brutal killer and a perfect spy. Let's go to the next question. 2015, Adele released her single that became the first song with more than 1 million downloads. First song to hit 1 million downloads in the first week. Basically, within first week, 1.1 million downloads. What was this song? Time starts. Well, Adele is a very popular English singer, and isn't it a world record, the first singer to cross 1 million downloads within the first week? Let's find the answer to this question. The title of the song is Hello, and within the first week, this song actually recorded 1.1 million downloads from the internet, setting up the world record. The first singer to cross that sort of threshold or milestone. Let's quickly go to the next question. In the year 2018, what is the length of world longest sea crossing bridge? The Hong Kong Macau Zhuhai Bridge, which was inaugurated. So the length of this bridge, it became the world longest sea crossing bridge in 2018. Obviously, this was built by Chinese, and I would like to know what is the length of this bridge. Time starts. Well, sometimes it requires a lot of ingenuity and also a lot of engineering effort to build such large structures. So the question was the longest sea crossing bridge. It was inaugurated in 2018. Let's find the answer. It is 55 kilometers long. It's the longest bridge from Hong Kong to Macau, built by Chinese. The length is staggering 55 kilometers on the ocean. It would require, a different kind of hard to even drive on such a road, which is you don't see any land, you only see water all around. So it must have been a different experience if you're actually able to drive on that bridge. Let's go to the next question. Okay, so we have run out of question today. Our quiz is over. Um, and the whole idea is to basically build the critical thinking ability. So join me back tomorrow, same time, and we will have another set of questions for tomorrow. So thanks for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye bye.